Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Shelach. In order to help us understand the Sedra, I'd like to tell you the story of a man named Jacob and his son. Jacob sat at the kotel seething in anger and frustration. His ungrateful son, after having been given a vacation with his dad to go to Israel, was currently refusing to come to the kotel and pray. Jacob's son had started rebelling against his parents' values about 2 months ago, and Jacob had hoped that a father-son trip to Israel could stop his son's antics. Unfortunately, his son merely rebelled more, and it seemed like the trip was having the opposite effect than what it intended to do. In this week's Sedra, Moshe had sent spies to do reconnaissance of the land and its people. They reported back to the people and said, "We came to the land which you had sent us, and the land is flowing with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who inhabit the land are mighty, and the cities are extremely huge and fortified. And there we saw even the offspring of the giant, the Amalekites, dwell in the south of the land, while the Hittites, the Yebushis, and the Amorites dwell in the mountainous region. The Canaanites dwell on the coast and alongside the Jordan." It seemed that the spies' report was dooming Bnei Israel to an impossible task of trying to conquer Israel. It was unfortunate, and Jacob read this. He read of Kalev, the prince of the people and leader of the tribe, who tried to stop the spies' false report and halt the doubt slowly creeping into the people's minds. Kalev silenced the people to hear about Moshe, and he said, "We can surely go up and take possession of it, for we can indeed overcome it." In his commentary to this verse, Rashi quoted a saying in the Talmud. Why did the people stop the spies to listen to Kalev, to hear what he would say about Moshe? Right? That's what Kalev had said. He cried out, "Is this the only thing that Moshe has done to us?" Anyone listening might have thought that Kalev intended to disparage Moshe. And since there was resentment in their hearts against Moshe because of the spies' report, Rashi explained that they all became silent so they could hear his defamation. But instead of disparaging Moshe, Kalev said, "Didn't he split the sea for us, bring down the manna for us, and cause the quails to fly down to us?" Jacob was puzzled. Why would the people want to hear disparaging remarks about Moshe? Jacob sat back and thought about it. The Jewish people owed their freedom to Moshe. They owed their new way of life to Moshe, and they would owe their future and their homeland to him as well. While gratitude for Moshe was to be expected, Jacob knew that just as grateful teenagers rebel against their parents because their dependence on their parents breeds resentment, in these quote-unquote teenage years of Bnei Israel's relationship with Moshe, they too felt resentment of the recipients of kindness towards the giver of their kindness. Bnei Israel felt this teenage resentment of their dependency on Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe understood this as well, and yet he was overtaken by it. Later in the Torah, Moshe lost his cool, and after yet another episode of being accused of incompetence, maligned the Jewish people. Moshe was severely punished for not having patience to deal with the people. Jacob understood that he couldn't act like Moshe. He had to keep his cool and live through his rebellious teenage stage. Just as Bnei Israel stayed loyal to God, his teenager, with enough love and attention, would come back to him as well. It just required Jacob's patience. That was the lesson he left with from the kotel. It's a lesson I hope we leave with from this week's Sedra as well. Shabbat Shalom.